All right, folks, one more time here on the LA Sparks 365 Network. Welcome in, folks, to FIBA 365, getting you all set and psyched up for the 2014 FIBA Women's World Championship Tournament taking place in Istanbul, Turkey in the coming few weeks here across the women's basketball spectrum. Again, folks, alongside Chris Woodmansee via Apple's FaceTime. From the Annenhart Studios up in Anaheim, California. Callan McClurg joining you folks here from Studio 171 in San Diego. All right, Chris, one more time for the night. How's it going?
Not much.
Now, again, folks, we know again that the 2014 WNBA season was very, very short and compacted because of the 2014 FIBA Championship Tournament because of the length of time when it happens and stuff for training camp and everything else included. But Chris, to start the show off, though, Chris, we do though have to pass along news, Chris, of two pretty severe injuries here, or two really big injuries, Chris, that might be affecting Team USA's hopes and dreams of winning the gold medal this year in the tournament. Chris, for one, Chris, we were informed today that Indiana Fever forward Tamika Catchings, Chris, will be missing the tournament because she wants to rest and relax for a bit, and also, Chris, is dealing with neck problems. And also, Chris, the other shock today is LA Sparks forward Candace Parker, also withdrew from the team today, Chris, citing on Twitter this morning she is going in, Chris, for minor knee surgery to possibly clean up her injured right knee. So, Chris, two pretty big injuries, Chris. I mean, it's not like the end of the world here, Chris, but, Chris, without having Catch and Parker, any sort of thought of concern at all for Team USA still, even though the roster still stacks up to be one of the best, though? But again, Chris, without Catch and Parker, any thoughts about the significance of those two's injuries at all, or what?
I think probably huge, but I think they'll still be okay with them having their probably roster stacked up with great players and everything.
Yeah, Chris, I'm scrolling through the roster right now, and the roster is, folks, is live on usab.com/women's/national team roster. Chris, the roster goes as follows here: Augustus Bird Bonner, Charles Deladon Diggins, Dolson Dupree, Fowles Griner Hartley, January Lavender McBride, McCautry Moore Ogumake, Robinson Sims, Brianna Stewart, Tarasi, Vandersloot, and Whalen. Chris, I mean, it's kind of like regardless if you have Candace Parker and Tamika Catchings there, Chris, you know, there's plenty more firepower to fill that void, Chris, between having EDD and Griner, and, of course, with Stephanie Dolson and Bria Hartley, and, of course, Chris, the seasoned veteran of Diana Taurasi at the forefront, and even, Chris, you know, the young buck, you know, the young kid in Brianna Stewart. So, Chris, I mean, in spite, though, of the injuries, though, Chris, for the FIBA tournament, Chris, it's not that big of a deal, Chris, because this really isn't, you know, this isn't the Olympic Games, Chris, where the entire globe is watching, Chris. It's just more so a tune-up for the Olympic Games, Chris. But again, you know, it's two injuries, yes, Chris, the two key components, Chris. But, Chris, there's so much more depth on this roster. It's kind of pathetic of how much depth this Team USA roster does have now, folks. Again, Team USA kicks off their preparation for the gold medal and the 2014 FIBA tournament, folks. In their whole schedule, we'll go through it here, folks, real quick. Again, their whole schedule tips off tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, folks, with their first practice. The team will be holding 2 practices and 2 youth clinics tomorrow and Tuesday. Now, tomorrow is the first scheduled practice at 10 a.m. from the Housley Gym on the campus of the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. Then on Tuesday, Chris, they'll have their practice at 9:30 a.m. And then, Chris, they'll be hosting 2 youth clinics at 5 o'clock Eastern at the Naval Academy, then at the Boys and Girls Club of Annapolis. Then on Wednesday, they'll have their last practice. Then, Chris, on 9/11, on September 11th, Chris, at 4 o'clock Pacific on ESPN2, Chris, we will be having ourselves the USA Basketball Showcase on ESPN2. That will be played from the Bob Carpenter Center on the campus of Elena Deladon's alma mater, the University of Delaware in Newark, Delaware. Then on Thursday, the 12th, the team will be hosting practice at the ESPN studios in Bristol, Connecticut. Off day on the 13th, on Saturday, Then on the 14th, Chris, they'll have a practice and a scrimmage game with Canada at 11 a.m. Then, Chris, on the 15th, Team USA will play Canada in an exhibition game at 4 o'clock on ESPN2 from the Webster Bank Arena in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Then, Chris, the team will have their final one. And then, Chris, after that, Team USA will fly from the East Coast, Chris, to the country of France to play a few tune-up games for the tournament involving a practice on the 18th. Then, Chris, will have their first game. Their first practice game, Chris, will be held on the 19th versus the Australia national team. The game time is set for 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific from Stade Pierre de Coubertin in Paris, France. Then on the 20th, they'll play China at 5:30, and then on the 21st, they'll play France at 4 o'clock. Then on the 23rd, they'll play their final exhibition game on the 23rd versus the Czech Republic in Prague. Then the tournament will kick off on the 24th over in Istanbul, Turkey. Chris, okay, the schedule, I mean, okay, Chris, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Chris, 5 straight practices, the showcase game, 1 practice, then the tune-up games, Chris. Chris, are you sort of keeping in the back of your mind, though, Chris, about the fatigue factor, though, going forward of what this team, Chris, may face? Because, Chris, as we know very well, man, this roster is loaded with WNBA All-Stars, Chris, some of them who have been on the offseason for a bit, or some, Chris, like Griner, Deladon, and Fowles, and Taurasi, Chris, they're still battling in the finals, Chris. Are you a bit concerned, though, man, about the fatigue factor going forward, though, as we look ahead to tomorrow for the players that are done, though, Chris? But again, following the conclusion, Chris, of the finals, are you a bit concerned, though, about Chicago and Mercury players, Chris, coming into training camp, though, knowing about the stretch run of the whole season? Now you get, smacked in the face with the FIBA tournament. What do you think here?
Yeah, I think we're tired out through the season, then the playoffs, all the way up to there, and then get forced into the FIBA tournament.
Chris, like I just told you too, man, during our intermission here on the channel is Chris, as much as I would love to see Candace go play, or go see Catch go play over there, Chris, like I said, though, man, I told you, and I was kind of, in a very, very, very deep, loud voice, is, Chris, it's time for once, though, that these players, Chris, not just Parker and Catch, Chris, but that these players take some time off for once, man. I mean, this, Chris, is a constant struggle, man, that you play your sport year-round, Chris. And I mean, Chris, this isn't like playing golf year-round or, playing, a laid-back sport like golf or surfing year-round, Chris. You're playing basketball that, Chris, that, takes a toll on your body, Chris, like injuries, like Parker's knee, like Catch's neck injury. And, Chris, I think it's just time, though, man, that after this year, Chris, these ladies, Chris, just take some time off for once, Chris. I know you can't help it about the postseason, but, Chris, even afterwards, Chris, take a few weeks to recover for once. I mean, Chris, because, like I said, though, man, back on the FIBA show a few weeks ago, Chris, is your future here, Chris, is sort of on the line here, man, in regards to your future health and your appearance, Chris, because I said here, man, about my problems that I faced, Chris, after I played baseball year-round from the time I was 5 till I was 18 years old in high school, Chris, it's not good, Chris. I'm way out of shape, and again, man, I have lingering injuries still from playing, Chris. And, Chris, yes, I know that there's obstacles, that the WNBA season, Chris, is maybe 4 months out of the year, maybe 5 months, Chris. Then you have your 7-month commitment, Chris, playing overseas. But, Chris, what do you hope for, though, for these players in the future, Chris, knowing, though, that the struggle is real, though, that they have to go overseas and leave the country and go and play somewhere else to get paid more money, Chris. But, Chris, are you more worried, though, about their future, post-retirement, about, all the mileage that they've racked up from playing here, FIBA tournaments, Olympic Games, and above all, Chris, their overseas commitments, too, in Russia, Australia, Europe, Chris? Do you think long-term, though, about the health of these athletes well after their careers do end, though?
Yeah.
In what ways?
To playing too much health, too many miles, playing basketball and everything.
Now, Chris, there's one highlighted event here on the itinerary for Team USA that kind of has me not feeling the best here, Chris. Now, Chris, not only that, I've been dealing with this with a stomach problem the past week or so, man. I've had a very, very turbulent last few weeks here, Chris, as far as eating food lately, where my stomach is giving me the time of day, Chris. But also, man, it's doing that too because Chris, the word of showcase, along with Team USA attached to it, Chris, brings back some very painful, lasting memories of the USA men's team's showcase game, Chris, which, of course, saw the infamous injury to Paul George, Chris, where we saw his leg break on national television in very disgusting fashion. Reminded me a lot of when we saw Kevin Ware go down with his injury when he played at Louisville, or Joe Theismann's broken leg in the NFL. Chris, what precautions, in your mind, have to be taken by Coach Ariyama and the staff at University of Delaware, Chris, to ensure the safety of everybody in this, really, Chris, this game that doesn't mean jack squat. It's just, going out there and playing in front of a crowd and on national television and on national TV, Chris, where we've already had one severe injury involving a USA player, Chris. What are your thoughts, and also what precautions, Chris, have to be taken in your mind to make sure that this game has no hitches or nothing goes wrong here?
Just play like no defense and just play out there.
Chris, not only that, I think, though, too, that, as I said, though, man, on the last show here for FIBA, is this game, though, solely depends, Chris, of how well and how good and how good of work the staff at Bob Carpenter Center, Chris, can do, making sure that the stanchions, Chris, are well away from the court. Now, Chris, I know about what occurred, that it was so many feet in Vegas. Chris, you've got to ensure that it's the same length as the WNBA or the FIBA limit, Chris, because you can't afford to have another injury, Chris, to another key component, Chris, and, in this point, Chris, where you're already down Catchings, you're down Parker. Chris, you can't afford to be down a third player for this tournament. I know that there's a lot of depth, Chris, but he can't afford to have another injury in his game, Chris. And Chris, I think we all agree here is basically simple. Don't play defense and don't go and block shots. That includes you, Brittany Griner. That includes you, Sylvia Fowles. That includes everybody, Chris. No blocking shots. And, Chris, play this like the stupid NBA All-Star game. Play no defense. Let them, take the golden road down to the hoop, Chris, and lay it up and in. But, Chris, no flashy defense. Chris, don't, Chris, play this game with full effort here. I don't want to see anyone else get hurt, break a leg, tear an ACL, Chris, for this tournament. Because you already had one instance, Chris, with Paul George. Don't want to see it again, Chris. But again, one last time, though, man, what do you think has to happen, though, for this game to go off without a hitch, though, on 9/11?
Just go out there. Don't play no defense. Just don't block shots, like we said. And just play like that stupid All-Star game.
Now, Chris, we're going to do a quick preview here, man, of the first exhibition game that Team USA will play for the FIBA tournament. They'll be playing Canada coming up in a few days here. That will be played on the 15th of September. Game time, again, is set for 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern. That game can be seen on ESPN. I'm going to pull up the roster real quick, Chris, to see who is who on this Canada team, just to see what I can pull out of here real quick. Probably not much right now at this point in time. We'll see what happens here, though, with this point in time real quick. Let me see what I can pull up here, folks. Give me one brief moment, if you can do so. Just trying to see what's occurring here at this point in time for the tournament right now for... Okay, so I got to basically be more specific here and say the women's team for the page here on Google to give me some advice. Again, folks, I want to remind you folks again that the USA women's national team kicks off their training camp tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, over on the Naval Academy base. All right, Chris, we got the roster here for the Canada team, Chris. And Chris, as you thought, man, no one we know is on this team, Chris. No one from the WNBA taking part in the tournament here, Chris. Although, man, I will say this, though, Chris, I will take that back, though. We do have a current player, Chris, in the WNBA, Natalie Anchuan. She is in the tournament, or in for Canada, playing for the Indiana Fever. She's the lone participant in this game, or for the Canada team at this point in time. Now, Chris, the FIBA ranking for Canada is they are ranked ninth, and they're ranked second and ninth in the FIBA ranks, Chris. So, Chris, I think Team USA, though, Chris, will have their work cut out for them, though, because Canada, has normally played them very, very hard. But, Chris, the game I'm looking forward to, Chris, is when Team USA plays Australia, because Australia, Chris, has really given Team USA problems, although Team USA has beat them the past few times, though, of course, during the gold medal game in 2012. But Chris, the roster is the roster for the Aussies, Chris, is always top talent. But Chris, there is one major hurdle though for here is Lauren Jackson, Chris, who missed the WNBA season. Guess what, Chris? She's out for the FIBA tournament, Chris. Re-injured that same knee, Chris. So LJ will be out again for the Aussies again. But Chris, at the roster though for the Aussies, Chris. Lauren Jackson, again, out for the tournament because of her injured leg or her knee, Chris. Jenna O'Hea, of course, on the roster, as is Liz Cambage. Chris, again, I know we talked about LJ's absence because of for the Storm, Chris, but now, Chris, that she's out for the FIBA tournament, Chris, is that basically like the dagger for the Aussies that that LJ's gone for this term as well, Chris? It's sort of like a double whammy. She's gone for the WNBA season, and now she's gone for the FIBA tournament, Chris. Now I know, Chris, that FIBA or that Australia, Chris, does have Liz Cambage, who can, Chris, body up on Brittany Griner. They're both 6'8", and they do have Jenna O'Hea, Chris, and also Erin Phillips and Penny Taylor, Chris. But without the vet though of Lauren Jackson, is that sort of like the end of the line for the Aussies, not just in this tournament game, Chris, but also in the tournament as well going forward?
I think so, probably, yeah.
Chris, I think anytime you lose a big component like a LJ, it's tough to come back from. Now, folks, if you're wondering about the FIBA tournament itself, Team USA's group features Team USA, Angola, China, and Serbia. Now, Chris, I don't mean to throw stones here at China, but Chris, we kind of know the Chinese team, Chris, very, very well because they got blown out by 40 by the Sparks in the preseason, Chris. So we know about that, Chris. But Chris, I don't know what it is, man, on both sides of the story, Chris, that every year it's Team USA beating, the world every year in the in the tournament. Now, folks, a quick update, folks, about the tournament. Now, again, folks, the tournament is being held over in Turkey. Now, folks, remember a reminder here that Turkey is 7 hours ahead of the Eastern time zone, which makes them 10 hours ahead of the Pacific time zone. So basically, do the math for your time zone if you're trying to watch these games at some time soon. So, Chris, what I'm gathering here at this point in time is, again, I'm not a math major here, dude, but looking at the time right now, Chris, we're looking at 7:30 a.m. game times for Team USA if you want to watch those games. So again, the preliminary round games, folks, for Team USA, China on the 27th of September, 7:30 a.m. Pacific time. That is 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. Sunday, the 28th of September, 7:30 a.m. versus Serbia, and then on the 30th of September, we'll take on Angola at 7:30 a.m. Pacific time. So, Chris, as we close out for the night, Chris, again, let's get your lasting thoughts here, again, about possibly the, the alarm bell sort of, again, of, not having Tamika Catchings and Candace Parker because of injuries going forward, Chris, and also your last thoughts, too, about the showcase game, too, knowing very well, again, about what occurred with Paul George as well in Las Vegas.
Just two great pieces for USA out, but they're so stacked. It should be all right. And just in the choking game, just don't even play no defense.
So with that, folks, we will call it a night. But until tomorrow night, folks, have a safe night. Drive home safely. Thank you all for coming, and good night. Now, this has been the LA Sparks 365 Network. We are Sparks. We are LA. And we are the WNBA, folks. We'll see you folks tomorrow night here, back here on the network and on blogtalkradio.com for WNBA Radio, Episode 5. See you folks tomorrow night. Bye-bye.